Hey people of the VC, it's Andy Cloudy Mulder with an 80s collection update video. Lots of things to show, trying to clear down my inbox, so whenever I buy anything I stick it into this box, play it a few times, and then do it, show it on a video, and then stick it on the shelf. Hopefully never to be forgotten, but who knows, they come out every now and again. But after that huge VCLT I got from Black Ball Rules last week, I'm overflowing, so I want to clear down a few. I didn't really have time to make a video tonight, but let's see how this goes. Hopefully I can keep this fairly short. First up, an album I'll be looking at for a while, a style I wouldn't normally pick up. I don't normally pick up jokey albums, but I couldn't resist. I bought this some time ago now, only sort of played it a couple of times. I've got to be in the mood, but yeah, bad news. Killer cover. So this is comic strip presents British comedy. I used to do lots of short films and many Rick Mail, Adrian Emerson, and Nigel Planer. You I forget that. So we've got there we go. Colin Grigson, Ben Dennis, Vim Fuego, and Spiderweb. These guys actually got on the bill at Donington, I think in '87, as part of their the movie they made to coincide with this. This is a great gatefold because there's so much going on. Every time I look at this, I see sort of a glare. I see something new that I've missed previously. Nice Rogue Mail poster down here in the corner. More of an EP, I guess, than an album. There's only 6 tracks on it, but it's got quite a bit of dialogue from the film between the tracks. More expensive than I would normally like to spend on this kind of thing, but when I saw it, I had to have it. Now I need to track down a copy of the movie because I've not seen it for years. It's on the MI, so this was 1987, just a plain black label. Exciting. Next up, great album. This was a bit of a blind buy for me. I'd heard of Dave Chastain, but I couldn't really tell you too much about him or some of the work he's done. But I found this is one of his bands, or maybe not one of his bands, maybe just part of it. So this is CJSS, Will Gone Mad, from 1986 on Leviathan Records. This is a US pressing. There's Dave Chastain there, and we have Russell Jenkins, Les Sharp, and Mike Skimmerhorn, their initials making up the imaginatively titled CJSS. This is a really good heavy album. I'm surprised. I mean, it's every track on here is really, really good. But it's not just, it's kind of heavy metal mixed with that kind of neoclassical guitar fiddlery style, but very, very, very good. No Man's Land and Will Go Mad is a good tune. What else do we have here? Living in Exile ends the album off really good. But if you've not heard these, I thoroughly recommend checking you out. Will Go Mad, the title track, actually has got a really kind of punchy, anthemic chorus, which is We Pledge Allegiance, We Pledge Allegiance, Allegiance, Allegiance. And that kind of reminded me of, so Suicidal Tendencies did a song called Pledge Your Allegiance a couple of years later on the How Will I Laugh Tomorrow album. And then Suicidal Tendencies released an album this year called Will Go Mad. Coincidence? I think it probably is. But yeah, I thought it was a bit weird. Anyway, yeah, so CJSS, check that out if you have not, because this is a great heavy metal album, especially like your fiddly guitars. Nice little picture labels on these as well. On demand. Oh, always upside down. There we go. Same on the other side. Next up, from 1981. This is more of a hard rock band that I kind of wrote them off after I heard one song. That song was called Assault and Battery, the title track of this album. Well, when I say right off, I sort of heard the one song, but it didn't really make me want to go out and buy anything. But I'd seen a bit of love for this over the year in the VC. So this is the album Assault and Battery by Rose Tattoo. Mirage Records. This is a US pressing. I picked this up when I went digging with Black Morals in Birmingham earlier this year. I've given it quite a few spins. Really enjoying it. My thought was just they were kind of giving me another AC/DC type clone. And whereas that comparison mainly strikes true, you know, throughout the album. It's that sort of style of hard rock. Some of the songs have more of a sort of raw, punky edge. All the Lessons, for instance. Let It Go on here, not the Disney version. That one sounds to me a bit more sort of a little bit more sort of an Aerosmith sound to it. Rock and Roll is King sounds a bit more Slade. So there's a kind of a mixture of styles on here, and glad to pick it up. The cover kind of freaks me out. It took me ages trying to figure out whose arm is which, and to start with, I actually thought it was one of those covers that wasn't meant to make sense, and because I kind of presumed that this arm here was the same arm. But if you stare at it long enough, it's not. It's this guy's arm. But it kind of freaked me out for a bit looking at that cover. But yeah, it's good album to have in the collection. I'm glad I've got that. I love the colours on the label for this. So the very light blue and the Mirage label there. Yeah, so that's quite cool. Moving on, another one I picked up through digging with Greg in Birmingham is also from 1981, and that's MSG's One Night at Budokan. 1981 Chrysalis UK pressing. I mean, I really like MSG, but I find this album is not a great live album experience. The sound is, the vinyl looks pretty good, but the sound is quite, I don't know, kind of subdued, a bit muddy. I expected it, certainly with somebody like Schenker, and again his guitar fiddlery that he likes to do. I just kind of expected a richer sound with it, and I can kind of after I've listened to sort of 2, getting on for 3 sides, I can, if I'm getting distracted and doing something else, I can kind of forget it's on and end up the record will just end up spinning in the run out and kind of realise it's finished. So nice to have in the collection. I will play it again, but nowhere near the best live album I've ever heard, that's for sure. Nothing exciting about the labels either, just standard Chrysalis. Next up, this was an upgrade copy. Vardis, The World's Insane. The world's gone mad, the world's insane. There's a bit of a theme going on in this video, I think. I think that's a HMV label, so it was originally, well, special price $1.99, obviously on sale. As I say, this is an upgrade. I've had a copy of this for quite some time. In fact, since I've had the upgrade, I sent it out for VCLT recently, but this has a much covers in better condition, and the vinyl's in slightly better condition as well. Really, really good early new wave of British heavy metal. Yeah, Steve Zodiac. I love the fact that Steaming Along, the last track on here, is it's kind of a never-ending track, because the groove just keeps clicking over and over, and there's a sound of a steam train chugging away, and it's just that forever until you stop the deck. So this is really cool. I was lucky that this actually ended up being an upgrade, because the packaging it came in, this is an eBay purchase, and I think it actually only cost me $1.99 as well on eBay. So it was a steal for an upgrade. Yeah, sorry. So the Loco Records label. But yeah, the package it came in. Now, I've seen a few packaging horrors on here before, but it came in one of these, just a bubble wrap mailer, and the stiffener's got to be seen to be bleed. This stiffener is so advanced, it even comes with its own ready creased layer. I mean, how this got through the UK mailing system like that, with that, I'm a very lucky boy that arrived in one piece. I can tell you, I wasn't too impressed with that seller, but it did get here in one piece, thankfully, and there we go. Next up, this one was VCLT, and I think third time I mentioned you so far, Greg. It's you again. So this is one of the pieces of VCLT that Greg gave me when I met up with him in earlier the year. This is Thor live in Detroit from 1985. Now, whereas the MSG live album was disappointing for me, this is far from it. This is brilliant. I love the artwork on here. I mean, Thor as a character. I first got into Thor, I think I bought Only the Strong just because of the cheesy looking cover, and I was really surprised that it was actually very, very good heavy metal, and been a fan since. And this has some great tracks on it. So 85, after the first couple of albums, so it's got like the likes of Thunder in the Tundra, Let the Blood Run Red, Knock 'Em Down, Lightning Strikes, Keep the Dogs Away, Hot Flames, Now Comes the Storm, and When Gods Collide. It's just a good, fun album. Although he does the audience participation bit with the when he's speaking between the songs, there is either nobody there or they didn't have any audience mics on hand on the night. It's quite funny. Yeah, love the another cool label which needs to be shown. Not seen that one before, probably because it's a Canadian press, and the only Canadian presses I think I have are the ones that I've got from Greg. So thanks again for that, Greg. That is a brilliant album. Looking forward to spinning that again in the future. Next up, how are we doing for time? Okay, next one is Gamma 3. Now this is, if you know Gamma, Ronnie Montrose's group, early 80s, more sort of a hard rock band really, not really heavy metal, but this is a lot different. Gamma 2 I love. Gamma 2 was my introduction to them, and I really love that album. But Gamma 3 is a departure from the more hard rock side. It's got more of an experimental feel to it. It's definitely, I mean, it's significantly more keyboardy than their earlier stuff. And part of it feels like they were just trying to figure out what they were going to come up with next rather than necessarily planning for it. I hated it the first time I played it, but it has grown on me since. I mean, when I'm in more of a melodic rock mood, I'll grab this, and I gave it a go. And if you kind of want to hear what I mean by it being sort of a bit bizarre and a bit experimental, if you can track down a copy of Condition Yellow, it's on the B side of here, but it's an instrumental song, and there's lots of there's a bit of guitar wizardry on there as well, but there's also, I guess, trying to keyboard wizardry as well, and some very strange and annoyingly catchy, I don't suppose you call them riffs with keyboards, but yeah, so Condition Yellow, very bizarre instrumental, at least worth a listen to see what I mean. What have we got here? So yeah, Electro label, Butterfly. Next up, another one of those bands that I reach for when I want something a little less heavy and a bit more melodic. One of my, I'm not going to say guilty pleasure, because I do not feel guilty at all for liking Magnum, and been after a copy of Chase the Dragon for quite some time, and thought I'd found a very, very reasonably priced one on Discogs. Unfortunately, for VG Plus, you look at this side here, that is completely ripped away there and here. Corners are all worn, and yeah, so I wasn't that impressed. I did complain to the guy, and he was a bit arsy that I complained, because I just said, you know, I actually said to him, I want to give you an opportunity to tell me what you're going to do before I leave any negative feedback, rather than just diving in and leaving negative feedback. And he replied and told me there was no need to be threatening, and I could have a full refund. So I ended up with a very, very reasonably priced, i.e. free copy. It does really annoy me that this lovely Rodney Matthews artwork is destroyed. The vinyl plays fine. I can't complain about that. But I will be looking for another copy with a better cover. But this is probably one of this is one of my favourite Magnum albums. There's 2 or 3 that I couldn't live without, and this is one of them. Had this on. I think I had a copy of it when I was killing music in the 80s by making tapes, and I'm very, very happy to finally have a nice physical copy. At least the vinyl being nice. But yeah, Magnum are one of those bands. Have a Magnum moment, and I'll go and listen to something a little bit less, heavy, a little less fast, a little less in your face. Okay, next up, another band that kind of fits in that melodic sound, and in some ways, if they probably followed the Magnum path more, they would have been a bit more successful. And that's Mantis. Time Tells No Lies. Another band that was tagged in the whole new wave of British heavy metal era. They never really took off, though. This was the only album they released in the 80s. They did follow up with an album in 1990. So this is 1981 on Arista, French pressing. Another great Rodney Matthews cover. So look at that, it's just amazing. Very cool stuff. It is on the more melodic side, I'd say. It's I think part of the downfall, certainly, on maybe not releasing any more, unless there were some other sort of band issues I don't know about. But the sound of this it's got less of the sort of raw edge of the bands that were successful in the early new wave of British heavy metal. So the Maidens, Diamond Heads, Demons, they all had something that was a little raw, a little bit different, something that didn't sound, you know, that pushed them on and stood them apart from the 70s, late 70s sound. And this still sort of clings to a bit of the 70s melodic hard rock sound. So that may not have helped them. Some of the tracks are pretty good on here. There's a couple on here that do kind of fit in with the galloping and new wave of British heavy metal sound. Running for Tomorrow and Panic in the Streets, 2 that spring to mind. But the cover of All Day and All of the Night, the Kinks cover, really sticks out like a sore thumb here. They've not made any attempt to put their own stamp on it, and yeah, it just doesn't fit for me. But I'm really pleased to have got a copy of this. I bought this from a charity shop. It was online, but I was kind of expecting it to come pretty beat up, but it's in absolute top-notch nick. And again, as labels go, absolutely superb, with the green Mantis on both sides. Very, very nice. A couple more to go. This one doesn't need a lot of introduction. Black Sabbath, Mob Rules. Dio's second album with Black Sabbath in 1981. This is a Vertigo original UK press. It's really beat up. I mean, it's been thumbed a lot. Been a lot of drunken fingers trying to get in there to try and get the album out. Nothing exciting on the inside. It smells like it's been around the block a bit. For some reason, Country Girl has been circled with biro. But yeah, I mean, it's great stuff. I love it. The vinyl as well has got a lot of surface scratches, but it plays okay. This is a good introductory copy for me. I don't really see it out in the wild that much, so when I saw it for literally just a couple of pounds, I had to grab it. Right, and last and possibly least, maybe not, aside. I have finally plugged the last vinyl hole in my 80s Saxon collection with a copy of Innocence is No Excuse from 1985. Now, Saxon were changing by this time, and I've given this album a couple of goes so far, and I'm still not connecting with it. They're clearly trying to sound a bit more commercial. Iron Maiden did it successfully, really, kind of introducing the guitar synths and things into their sound. But this, to me, I mentioned to somebody on Facebook that it sounds to me like they're trying to be Def Leppard. They're trying to make a change to try and be successful in the US. And I think I've said this before on other albums. This isn't my Saxon. I prefer their raw sound, but I get that they had to change and move on and evolve and find out what was right for them. And I'm just grateful that they carried on churning out albums, after this through the 90s and still doing it now. I saw them in Glasgow recently, and given that Biff is I think he's 67 and Paul Quinn is 68 or so, or maybe got those two the wrong way around. It was a killer show. I mean, Biff's vocals were absolutely spot on. I couldn't fault it at all. It was a brilliant show. First time I got to see them live, and I didn't feel like I was seeing a tribute act of themselves either. They just still sounded very, very relevant. And I would jump, if you get a chance to see them, jump at the chance now, because who knows how much longer they're going to be touring for much longer. Cover's interesting. For years, and don't ask me why, but for years I thought this was a bar of soap. Don't ask me why she would be eating it, but it's clearly an apple. I'd never known until I got it. These little pictures at the back here. So the one up here, kind of like a William Tell, but she's got a crossbow and the guy's got the bolt in his head and there's apples around. Down here, a bit of a dominatrix dragging a guy with a hood by the neck with the apple next to him, and little picnic time argument gone bad with a knife in his back. So interesting cover. I'm glad I've got this, as I say. I've now got all of Saxon from the 80s on vinyl, but not by far not one of my my favourite Saxon albums. Yeah, that's a lot. That clears up a little bit of space in my inbox. I can almost fit in all those Crocus and Girl School albums I got from Greg the other day. Let me know what you think about any of these, if you've heard of any of them. If anything I've said is you don't agree with, or given wrong information, then let me know in the comments below. And I'll probably be back next week. I'm at home over Christmas, so I'm nothing better to do than to carry on making videos between spending time with the family. Hope you all have a great Christmas and New Year if I don't see you before. Take care. Cheers. Bye now.